Welcome to Local Gringo Mexico, where we can take you beyond the usual on your vacation. Each week we talk with amazing locals who know the Riviera Maya and Yucatan like only locals can. Get real tips to real places, insights on the local scene, culture, and cuisine from a local's perspective. So pour yourself a margarita, mezcal, or tequila, grab yourself a comfy chair, and let's get the show going.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This is Loco Gringo Mexico. My name is Kay Walton, your host. I'm so glad you could join us today. Well, if you missed us last week, we spoke to Margo Guenther of the Feel Good WAYE in Tulum. She's a good buddy of mine, and she was telling us about all the great restaurants she recently has come across in the Tulum Pueblo. So you want to download that episode. Well, the conversation went on, and we had such a great time just chatting, is that we started talking about nightlife in Tulum. And so that's what today's episode is about, continuation of our conversation of last week, talking about the nightlife in the Tulum Pueblo. This episode is brought to you by Buy Playa. You know, lots of people ask us for information and help when it comes to real estate, whether they're looking for retirement, an investment property, or maybe they're looking to relocate to the area. And we refer them over to our friends at Buy Playa. The folks at Buy Playa we've known for years, and they'll make sure that you, the buyer, are fully protected and informed when it comes to buying real estate. So if you're looking to buy a piece of paradise, check out our friends at buyplaya.com.
So, Margo, let's talk about that, because I got to tell you, I'm not a night person. I'm a morning person, which is great and working out, but I'm not into that nightlife. Can you talk about the nightlife, and where are some of the great places to go, for
I
music?
would love to do that.
The only place I've ever been to is Batey. And I love Batey. They had a band in the street, the Batey Bar, where they've had the Batey mojitos.
Batey is actually how that's pronounced.
Batey.
And for those gringos out there, it looks like Batey, Batey, and a lot of people call it Batey, but the actual pronunciation is Batey. The owner's Italian, and he's somebody I've known for a long time, and I'm so happy that he's here because he has made Batey into something that is really awesome. It used to be that I had to go to the beach to hear great live music from my friends who are musicians. And a little background on me is somehow in my 50s, I guess I was in my late 40s, somehow I became the token gringa old lady that hung out with all the musicians. And I'm super grateful that happened to me because some of my very, 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 very closest friends in Tulum are world-class musicians. One of the reasons I still live in Tulum is the music. The music is phenomenal. So Batey is, it's on Centaro Sur in the main part of downtown. So if you're coming from the direction from Playa del Carmen, and then you get to the first stoplight in Tulum, start looking for a place to park, and Batey is Centaro Sur. That street is on the left side of the street, and on the corner, I think, is La Churrida, is the name of it's a pizza place. And so now that street has become the hip street of Tulum, partially because of Batey, and so you turn left there, and you can't really park on that street, so just park wherever you can and get down there. And Batey is obvious. They've got a Volkswagen parked in front of it that has been converted into a mojito sugarcane press.
Yep, that's great.
And it's all decorated super, super, super psychedelic, and they keep a couple of Mexican hats on the hood just because everybody who comes to Tulum has got to get their picture taken with a Mexican hat in front of the mojito sugarcane press Volkswagen. So that's how you find it. And there's a lot of tables on the street, and as the night goes on, the street just becomes filled with people. Yep. I mean, it's just filled with people standing out on the street. Super fun. And so there's like a couple of different chambers to Batey. So there's the people on the street, and then there's the tables on the street, and then you go in a little bit, and the bar is kind of in the middle, and it's a square. And so there's seating area on the left of the bar, and there's seating area on the right of the bar. And sometimes, especially in high season, during the early afternoon, say 7 o'clock in the evening, they may put a couple people playing music in that outside area. So I love that when they have early music like that. And they do it pretty frequently in the high season. So then if you get through all that and keep going in the back, they've got a big garden. No, it's not that big. They've got a garden area in the back with a real stage. And every single night, year-round, there is great live music for free at Batey. Every single night. You don't have to pay a dime to get in there. You just go in. You might have to stand for a while until you get a seat. And, of course, it would be wonderful if you had some more cocktails, and I recommend the mojitos, as I said before. But they also have pretty good food. I have eaten there. They have nice little botanas for sure. They didn't used to have food that I really liked. It used to be mostly bread oriented and pizza oriented. Of course, the guy's Italian, but now he has more he has a shrimp salad, the kind of thing that comes on a plate that's not a plate. It's a big slab of wood, beautiful slab of wood, and it has some greens on it, and it has the shrimp on it, and it has kind of a apple kind of sauce or something that goes with it, and a really hot sauce that goes with it. And so they've got like 5 or 6 things like that you can order that are fairly inexpensive. And make sure you eat something before you have too many mojitos, because they make them pretty strong. They're pretty strong there. And so Batey is amazing. I'm a big fan. But that whole street now has become the hip part of Tulum. Right across the street from Batey is, what's it called? El Bistro. Le Bistro, not El Bistro, Le Bistro. And it's a French restaurant, and they have really good food too. And they have a garden in the back as well. And they sometimes in high season have live music back there as well. They always have great specials. I almost always order whatever they have on special when I go there. And the back area is really nice for big groups of people. I really like going back there with big groups of people. And then there's, what's the name of that one? I can't remember it, but there's on the same side as Batey, there's a big Mexican restaurant. And then on the back on the other side, there's a place called Mal Querida, which is a fairly typical Mexican restaurant. And what I think is really funny for those of you who don't speak Spanish, La Malquerida means the bad girl, the bad girlfriend. And then right next door is La Querida, which is my sweetheart. And La Querida, they have pizza, which is really crazy. But actually, La Querida has the best flan in Tulum that I've had. Their flan is phenomenal. And what else is on that? I think their prices. I think their prices are great there. Their pizza prices are great, and they're actually really good. And they have pastas and stuff too. And it doesn't look like there's any Italian involved in it, but they sort of get it right. And as you said, their prices are good. I actually have a list of some of my favorite stuff like that in town. But I want to go back to Kibak. Mm-hmm. So right next door to Batey is Kibak, which started out as a coffee place. And so I remember the first time I went there, I was there. I don't drink coffee, and I, at that time, wasn't eating any gluten. And their other thing that they have a lot of is some nice desserts, all of which have gluten. So I don't drink coffee, and I don't eat gluten, so it wasn't a place that I went too much. But I went there one day, and I met some friends, and I was so shocked because these girls kept coming over and asking me if everything was okay and if I needed anything. And I was like, wait a minute, am I in Tulum? Because that's not your normal server's attitude in Tulum. I'm like, did I just all of a sudden land in the United States? And as a matter of fact, I kind of did, because the owners are from the United States, and it's a big family. And so there's a bunch of sisters and a brother and mom and dad that run the place. And they're just really kind and nice people, and they give really good service. So they've got the best coffee in town. They've got really good, like cupcakes and brownies and that kind of stuff. But now they have a full restaurant. And so you can, and I haven't had one for a while, but the last time I had one of their hamburgers, it was, oh my God, so great.
Really?
Really, really good. And they have a garden so they have the little bar on the street that you sit on a stool, kind of traditionally like a coffee place. And then they have little tables on the street, and then you can go inside and there's more tables. And so it's become like the hip place where you go and take your computer and, pretend like you're working online or something like that and talk to your friends. And then if you go even further in, there's a garden area without a roof over it that's really pretty. And one of the interesting things about them is that they have a bathroom that they actually encourage you to flush your toilet paper. They have some special system that is very ecological, and that's the kind of people they are. All their cups and plates and everything are made out of completely biodegradable substances. So in fact, actually, if you take your coffee to go, they charge you a little surcharge, because that stuff costs more than the crap that fills up our landfills. So I really like them, and I really like their place, and so that's one of the cool places for people to go to get coffee. We're kind of jumping around.
I was just going to say, I was going to get back. No. I was going to ask you, I was going to talk about night.
Now we're into coffee.
No, actually, if you have too many cocktails, then you definitely want a cup of coffee. You need one the next day for sure. So let's jump back to nightlife, Margo. So tell me a little bit more. We've got the Batey. Am I saying it right?
So music-wise, Batey is the star of the show. For nighttime music in Tulum, that is the star of the show. There's a few other places. Curandero used to be the star of our show. And I got to say, most of the time when I go by there now, it sounds like electronic DJ music, so I'm not sure how much they have live music anymore. But then just down that street, which used to be the hip, cool street of Tulum, things shift really quickly, is WAYE. And WAYE does have live music most nights, and I usually like it. But now we're getting into really late night. So Batey, their early music starts at 7. Sometimes they have 9 o'clock music, but their main music doesn't start till about 10:30 or 11. WAYE, their music doesn't start till like 1 in the morning.
Wow, that's my bedtime.
So these are for the hardcore folks. But what I always recommend, and see, this is part of why I can be on the street at 1 o'clock in the morning, not drunk, is I take a disco nap. So if I know I'm going to go out that night, I get off work usually 5 or 6 o'clock, and I'll come home and I'll lay down and read a book and fall asleep because I'm always tired. And I'll set my alarm to wake me up at about 10 o'clock. I get up at 10, I take a shower, I get dressed, and I jump on my bike, and I head out to hear some great live music. So for many of the people who are listening to this, you're on vacation, take a disco nap, and hit the town.
Where's
WAYE? Curandero. There's a couple others. There's Indio, which...
Wait, I want to stop you 1 second, Margo. Where's WAYE for everybody and how's it spelled? Just so everybody's listening.
Curandero... let's see, I think I have my map right here. Curandero, okay, if you're headed south on the highway, Curandero is about midway through the first part of town on the right, and that same street, you take a right on that street, and WAYE is down there on the left. Another thing that's a little secret gem next to WAYE is an Argentina couple. I don't even know the name of the place, but they make, it's from an Argentina thing. It's folded pastry with meat inside.
It's called empanadas.
Empanadas. Oh my God, they are the best empanadas. but I think they're only open late at night. There's also a good taco guy that opens up only late at night on that street. So that street used to be the street that would just be packed with people at night. And it still is to some point late at night. It is. So good that they have empanadas and tacos for people who have been out for a long time.
What's it? Do you know the name of that? Do you know the name of that street? Do you know the name of that street that WAYE is on?
Let's see, my map was open.
If not, I can.
Okay,
if not, I can. Oh,
I got
if
it.
not, we can Google it. If
Okay,
not, Margo, no sweat.
I got it. It is Osiris Sur.
Okay.
So it's not far from La Nave and that area.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really close to La Nave.
Okay. Curandero and WAYE, two hot spots still for in town.
You know what? I just lied to you. It's on Beta Norte.
Oh, it's on Beta Norte.
I just
Beta
got it. Yeah,
Norte.
it's on Beta Norte. So yeah, La Nave is on that same.
It's Beta
block.
North for anybody who's listening. For all of you who are listening. Yeah, Beta Norte is Beta North Street.
Yeah.
Which basically you're turning into the jungle.
Yeah. Yep. It's on the jungle side. So then just keep going down that street and you're going to find Indio on your right, which is a big, I'm talking about the main avenue. Indio is a giant palapa. And it's something that's kind of had a hard time getting started. It's one of those things that's such a big space that if you don't have a bunch of people in there, it looks like there's nobody in there. And so one of the things that they have is a Mexican smorgasbord, which is kind of rare. And they also have live salsa bands in there most nights, for sure on the weekends. And I think during the high season, they probably have a live salsa band in there every single night.
Wow.
And they have salsa lessons and stuff like that. So it's starting to become more popular. You know, one of the things about all the people moving into Tulum is there's also a lot of Mexicans moving to Tulum from other parts of Mexico. And so they've kind of enjoyed having that as a place where they go. So it's kind of a fun place to go where there's a lot of good salsa dancers and, yeah, it's very open to the street. So it's a fiesta kind of atmosphere. It's nice in there. And then there's another one, Infinito, that's on that same block, and their main bar is upstairs, and so a lot of people don't really get it that that's happening up there, but they also have salsa going most of the time. It's not live, it's DJ, but it's really fun up there. They have a lot of fun up there, and again, there's a lot of Mexican people that like to go up there, and so it's a fun place where tourists really want to go to the places where they can actually hang with real Mexican people in Mexico. And so those are two places that you can really do that. And then, so what I really recommend is if you want to go out and hear live music, is you just go down the main avenue until you hear the music that jives with you, and you go there. So now on the other side of the street from there, about another block down, so sort of across from the bus station, is a place called Todo Santos, and it's mostly electronic music and a younger crowd, but it's really pretty inside there, and it gets pretty hopping on a weekend night on the high season. And then next to that is Encanto Cantina, and Encanto Cantina is kind of an interesting place. 2 or 3 nights a week they have music that they put almost right on the street. And I really like it. One of the bands that plays there pretty frequently is 3 young, really nice Mexican young men. And but they play classic rock, and they play it really, really well. And so that's a lot of fun to be walking down the street, and all of a sudden they're playing something like Born to Be Wild or you know, something that catches our eye because we're of that era, right? Yeah. And they also have really good cocktails, and they have an area that's, you know, visible from the street that you can sit at little tables, and it gets really crowded on a fun night. And they have really good hors d'oeuvres and food. And then if you go all the way through, again in the back, there's a beautiful garden area. And I really do like their food. It's very, again, beautiful. It's very healthy, yet, it might be cochinita, right? So it's not necessarily vegetarian, but it's all made with very good ingredients and that kind of thing. Then I'm kind of out of sequence of where, but there's another new place in Tulum called Nawal, Nawal. And where it is it's on top of El Pollo Blanco.
Really?
There was a place called Altamar that was there for a while. And so it's a super hip. It's a mezcal bar. So they feature cocktails made with mezcal, and they're very healthy, well-made cocktails. And one of the interesting things about it is it has a night that is exclusively open for the gay population of Tulum.
Oh.
And so, we're really starting, that's the thing, is Tulum is getting so hip that we really have a place for a lot of different populations of people to go and really be around people that they enjoy being around and having a great time. On the night that, I think it's Friday nights, they have, I can't remember what they call it, but it's a DJ that comes in and they play a lot of really fun music. And of course, you don't have to be gay to go there, but they have a lot of fun up there, and their mezcals are really, really, really high quality mezcals, which is a good thing to have, high quality mezcal versus not high quality mezcal. You might wake
Yes.
up with a serious hangover if you don't get good stuff. So you know it's going to be good there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of it for the town.
Wow.
Music scene. There
Wow.
might be a couple that I've missed, but I mostly go to Batey.
Okay. No, I like it. I've been to some
go to
music on the
Batey.
street there. It was super fun. It was even raining, and I had a great time. I think I was out till
I
like
know.
1 a.m., which is late for me.
Yeah, they've gotten a little better about the rain. They've put some umbrellas up, which I actually kind of miss it being open to the sky. Because one of
it's
the
fun
things that
getting
was
wet.
really neat about that day was you could really see the sky and the moon. And they've kept a couple of coconut trees inside there, and they're loaded with coconuts. I don't know. They're kind of like, well, so one falls on somebody, oh well.
Awesome.
But
awesome.
yeah, it's really, really fun. So then if we go to the beach for music, my favorite place, my home away from home, is Zamas. We talked about that a little bit last time. And in the high season, they have live music every night, and it's always such high-level music. I mean, wow. One of the reasons I live in Tulum is because we have such great musicians here. And Zamas is one of the places that has supported these musicians for a very long time.
They do a
and
great
they have
job.
great food and a great vibe. It's right on the ocean there. And the ocean is kind of interesting because it's a bay right there. And so where the actual restaurant is, there's some pretty big rocks that the waves crash on. And they've expanded a patio out there that is really a nice place to have a meal and watch the moon and watch the water crash on the waves and stuff. But the inside of the restaurant is underneath a big palapa, and your feet are in the sand, which is another thing that I think is great. Is, there's not very many places in the world where you can have a great meal, hear amazing music, eat phenomenal food, and see the sea and have your feet in the sand. That's the way it should be.
It's living.
That's the way it should be. I'm really grateful for Dan and Susan of Zamas that they've been able to keep that vibe this whole time. I mean, it's super hip and it's very cool, and their food is really high quality, and they bring in a lot of chefs. They bring in a lot of guest chefs. They're from San Francisco, and so they bring in a lot of guest chefs from San Francisco. And Susan has also been really involved in bringing in some of these beautiful murals that are popping up all over town. She single-handedly started a thing that where they brought in a bunch of artists from different places and mixed them up with Tulum artists and sent them out on the town with paints. And wow, Tulum has got some beautiful, beautiful murals now as a result of that. And I think you can still write to Zamas and make arrangements, and somebody will take you on a tour of the murals. One of their daughters is now there with them, helping them run the place. They've grown up there literally since they were little kids, and now they're adult
I remember them little
and,
going to school in the States and everything,
Yeah, Chelsea's there now year-round with them, helping them run the place, and so it's really fun to have her in town. She's now a yoga teacher and teaches at several places as well, and just a beautiful, beautiful soul. Grateful to have them in my life. They're good people. So Zamas is one of my favorites. Puerto Corazon is another. So if you come in down the beach road and you take a right and onto the road that parallels the beach, you go past Papaya Playa, which is on the left. And Papaya Playa has kind of taken over a bunch of different smaller hotels that were in there. Now it's a giant conglomerate of palapas, and there's several restaurants in there, one of which is a vegan taco place, and then another one that says meat eaters come here. And then and they've got a couple other restaurants down in there. One of the things that Papaya Playa is famous for is their full moon parties. And just about every Saturday night during the high season, they'll have a giant party in there. And it will be with a world-famous DJ of some sort. And I mean, there might be 1,000 people in there. I mean, I may be exaggerating. There's cars parked all the way down the roads, taxis everywhere. And they actually, you have to pay a cover fee to get in, and it's just a beautiful party right on the beach. I'm not really a fan of that kind of music, but I know a lot of other people are. It's a great way to meet a lot of people from all over the world right on the edge of the sea with, music going. And their parties start, I don't know, I think they start letting people in at like 9, but it doesn't really start getting going until midnight. And there's still cars parked all over the place early, until midday the next day.
I bet.
So, and then if you keep going down that road, so you're heading south on the beach road, you're going to go to one of the first places you'll come to on the right is called Puro Corazon, Puro. I always say it kind of with an accent, but it's Puro Corazon, which means a pure heart, which I found out from the owners. That doesn't mean it doesn't mean that they're super goody two-shoes heart. It means that they are all heart. And I really think that's an interesting distinction. And so Puerto Corazon has live music just about every night. I think they do every night during high season. Right now, I think they're just having it 3 or 4 nights a week. They always have great live music in there. And one of the things I really love about Puerto Corazon is how well they treat the musicians. They don't pay them the best of all the places in the beach, but they make them food from their heart, right? This is what we're saying. It's like pure heart. When they feed the musicians at the end of the night, they have put their heart and soul into the food and are giving it to them so graciously. And then they let the musicians and their friends and family really enjoy being there after they've just given their heart and soul to entertain their guests. So I love that about Puro Corazon. And they have really good food in there, and it's one of those places that's evolved and evolved and evolved. It started with just, a small bar and a kitchen, and it actually used to belong to my friend. It used to be her house. Actually, the owner of El Tabano, it was her house. And then Ishmanaz and her husband, Guillaume, Ishmanaz Mexican and her husband, Guillaume is French, They leased it from Lauren Pass, the owners of El Tabano, and made it into Puro Corazon. And so it's, it didn't used to have a roof, and now parts of it have a roof and things like that. But now they've done something even more amazing. If you go through Puro Corazon and go out the back side, they've built this giant tower called Tower Ciel Rose Sunset Bar. So Ciel, new word, Rose, Sunset Bar. So there's this 4-story tower. It's built in a square, and I don't remember what's on the first floor. I think the second floor is actually a room that you can rent, and then you go past that room and you go up to the third floor, and I think they call it a gin bar. But they have all kinds of alcohol there, and it's really beautiful. And from that gin bar, you can see, that's about the level of Mateo's Sunset Bar. So from there, you can see, the ocean and the jungle and all that. But then you order your cocktail and keep going up, and there's a 4th floor that opens to the sky, and it's got, loungy kind of benches and stuff with cushions that you hang out on, and often they have some musicians up there, or maybe a DJ up there. And so it is so high in the sky, Kay, that you can see the coastline all the way down and both directions. Wow. And you can see the whole jungle as far as you can see. I mean, it's amazing up there. I'm really happy for them that they've expanded that. They also have on the ground behind Puerto Corazon now, they have a bunch of cabanas. And so they've really expanded it, and it's really, really nice. And again, they have great cocktails.
It's all about the cocktails today.
Guillaume, the French guy of the thing, he's really into really funny things. Like he's always making things like kombucha or some other kinds of homemade things that he can then make cocktails out of that are really, really delicious. I really love the cocktails that they serve there. And so then next door to that is Mateo's, and it's just grown and grown and grown. And it also has a sunset bar, but it's not quite as high, so you can't see as far. But they've got great Mexican food, and they've got everything in there. Everything in there. They've got coffee, they've got smoothies, they've got tacos. They've got a game room with a pool table, and no, not a pool table, but ping pong and darts, and yeah, they've got everything. Keep going down the beach road, and La Luna has, they have a Wednesday barbecue that has live music that's really good food, seafood and meat and veggies, with a live entertainment. Ziggy Beach, a few nights a week during the season, they have live music. The Tulum has kind of highbrow, very expensive food, but beautiful area, and they have some of the best musicians go there and play earlier in the evening. But one of my favorite things about living here, Kay, is the day music. So in the season, we have several places that have great live music during the day. So we're talking party on the beach during the day, in your bathing suit, swimming,
This is what I'm talking about.
Margaritas and dancing to live music.
I can embrace. I like day music and day party.
I love day music. I can be awake for that. I don't need a disco nap for day music. So one of the main day music places is La Zebra. They are famous for their Sunday night salsa party, which on every Sunday night, year-round, for 13 years now, I think it is, they have free salsa lessons about 6 o'clock, and then at 8 o'clock, they have a 10-piece Cuban salsa band playing for free on the beach with some really great salsa dancers. Come to that. But you're going to meet people from all over the world at Salsa Night at La Zebra, and they do it every Sunday night. I think they've only missed 2 Sundays in 13 years, and one of them was when they'd had a really bad fire and the place burned down that weekend, but they were open the next weekend for salsa. So you can count on them like clockwork. But then during the day, last year it was 3 or 4 days a week, from 2 until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. They had one day they would have funk music, and it was one of my very best friends, Gabo Gonzalez in El Groove Capital. Look for them on iTunes. They would play, and then they also have a DJ that plays during their set breaks, so that's really fun. And then another 2 days a week, they had my friend Gabriel Polacci play, and he plays Latin jazz and tango. And he's from Argentina and is a piano player with a band playing with him. And they played 2 days a week. And then there was a third band, I think, that played on another day during the day at La Zebra. And they've got great food, and they've got a pop-up bar as well as their own bar. So another place for great cocktails.
It sounds like maybe
another daytime.
You should start your own pop-up bar, Margo.
My friend Lou and I used to talk about having a restaurant in town that would just be open for dinner, and she would sing, and we would both create the food, and we would just have a special every day. We wouldn't have a menu. And so she would sing while I went around and said hello to everybody, and we'd feed them great food.
Yep.
And
I've had that same fantasy going, okay, we'll have a restaurant, only one meal. It's the menu of the day type thing. And then my friends who are in the restaurant business say, you are crazy if you want to get into this. Forget it. Don't do it.
And that's why I actually have been being told since I was a teenager I should have my own restaurant. And I made it all the way through my life until I worked at Chamach Dos up in the Siancon, which we talked about last time, before I actually worked in a restaurant. And I will never do it again. I will never do it again. I'm going to cook for my friends and my family, and that's it.
I hear you. That's
but I
great.
do like going out to good music, good food.
Well, are you inspired now to move down here? Do you want to move down here and have a little place of your own? Well, then you need to talk to our friends at WAYE Playa. You know, they have a friendly and knowledgeable international staff. They speak lots of languages, and they are known as being a buyer's agent. Well, what does that mean? That means they are only going to show you and sell you properties they know that have escrituras. An escritura is a title. And it's part of their due diligence to make sure the title is clear, there's no liens, and that the person who's selling the property is actually the owner. WAYE Playa works with lawyers that specialize in fideicomisos, which is a Mexican trust. You may have heard of it already before. And they can address things such as capital gains problems immediately and right up front, so that you have no surprises along the way to closing. So contact our friends at WAYE Playa at WAYEplaya.com. Well, wow. I hope you had as much fun as I did. But before you go, everybody, you can check out today's show notes at locogringo.com/podcast. I know that we covered a lot of ground with Margo, and you want to make sure you get all these great places down for your trip here to the Tulum Riviera Maya area.
Thanks for listening. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe. For links, show notes, and more information, head on over to locogringo.com or give us a call toll-free at 800-478-0081.
Porque se tragó la luna, estaba enferma la rana. Su madre soba que soba, dedos de pluma la panza. Pensó ranita que luna era una toronja blanca. Y aunque la luna es de leche, la leche estaba cortada. Croa, croa, dedos de pluma. Croa, croa, dedos de agua.